I came home to a ghost. Not the ones I brought back from the desert. Not the men whose names I still whispered into my pillow, or the villagers I could not save. This ghost was smaller. Pink sneakers, sunflower dress, hair that smelled like apples. A little girl I had buried in my mind, in a flag-folded corner of my heart, 3 years before my final flight out of Afghanistan. They told me Hannah died in a car accident. A drunk driver, a wet road outside San Antonio. A closed casket because you don't need to see her like that, Noah. I signed papers over a satellite connection with dust in my teeth. I grieved through a lagging signal. I punished myself for not being there. Now Texas heat rolls over our porch. The house is too quiet. Claire moves like she lives underwater. No toys, no photos, as if our daughter never existed at all. Where is she? I ask the first night, meaning the grave. Claire's eyes flicker, just once. And that's when the question starts breathing. What really happened to my little girl? The first thing that hits me is the heat. Afghanistan was hot, but it was a different kind. Dry, alien. This is Texas heat. The kind that crawls up your neck and sits on your chest, smelling like asphalt and old sweat, and the faint sourness of spilled beer on wooden porches. Mason drops me at the curb. He hugs me like he's afraid I'll disappear back into dust if he lets go too soon. "You good, brother?" he asks. "Yeah," I lie. My duffel bag thuds against the steps. The house looks smaller. Beige siding, dead-hanging plant. One porch light crooked like a lazy eye. This is where Hannah used to sit, with a bucket of chalk, begging me to draw suns and horses. I run my fingers along the railing. Splintered. Neglected. The door opens before I knock. Claire stands there in cut-off shorts and an oversized shirt, hair in a messy knot. She's thinner. Older. Her eyes skim my uniform. The stripes, the combat patch. Like she's inventorying damage. "Noah," she says. No rush into my arms. Just my name. "Hey," I answer. We do hug, technically. Her bones press against mine. She smells like laundry detergent and stale coffee. Not like home. Not like the memory I played in my head over there whenever the sky turned red. Inside, the house feels staged. Clean, but wrong. Sofa centered, TV remote lined with military precision, and the walls bare. No framed finger paintings, no photo of Hannah covered in cake at her 2nd birthday, no candid Claire kissing her forehead. Nothing. I stop in the hallway. "Where's—" the word catches. I force it out. "Where's her picture?" Claire is already walking toward the kitchen. "I thought it might be hard for you, seeing her everywhere." Hard for me. The door to what used to be Hannah's room is closed. The pink name letters that once hung there are gone. The wall is blank. "Can I—" "Later, okay?" Claire calls. "You just got in." Later. 3 years ago, they patched her voice through a tent half a world away. Radio static tangling with the chaplain's careful words. Car accident. IEDs, I could process. Death that came in shards of metal and fire. I could file into rules of engagement and bad intel. But a drunk truck driver on I-35 taking my 3-year-old? My mind refused it. The funeral happened on a screen. Grainy video of a church I knew. Faces I loved, framed in a laptop propped on ammo crates. I saluted pixels while my daughter's casket rolled by, wrapped in flowers instead of a flag. "I'm sorry," Claire had sobbed in my ears through the headset. "I couldn't reach you sooner." Now, standing in our quiet hallway, I realize how little I know of that day. At dinner, she sets down plates of overcooked chicken, takes one bite, lights a cigarette at the sink instead. "I quit," I say. "Over there." She shrugs, not looking at me. Good for you. How've you been? I try. Working? Busy? At the clinic still? Yeah. Silence bleeds across the table. In Afghanistan, silence meant waiting for something to explode. Here, it feels worse. Finally, I say it. I want to see where she's buried. The fork stops halfway to her mouth. She sets it down, carefully. You just got off a plane, Noah. Maybe give it a day? It's my daughter's grave, I say, more sharply than I intend. Claire flinches, a tiny, involuntary flutter. Tomorrow, she says. I'll take you tomorrow. That night, I lie in our bed, on top of the sheets, watching the ceiling fan. Claire faces the wall. A canyon opens between our bodies. Do you ever think about her? I ask. Of course I do, she snaps. You're not the only one who lost something. The words slap. I shut up. At 3 a.m., I wake from a dream where Hannah is knocking on a locked metal door, and I can't reach her. I pad down the hallway and rest my hand on the knob of her old room. It turns easily. Inside, the room is empty. Bare floor, fresh beige paint, no curtains, no indent in the carpet where a tiny bed once sat. It's not just that she died. It's as if she was erased. Standing in the hollow room, sweat cooling on my neck, I realize this is not grief. This is something else. Something with edges. The hairs on my arms rise. Something is wrong, and for the first time since I left the war, I feel like I'm stepping into one again. The next morning, Claire forgets to take me to the cemetery. She oversleeps. She mutters about a shift change. She says, maybe this weekend, when it's cooler. I stare at her over the rim of my coffee mug. It's November. Exactly, she says, as if that explains everything. After she leaves, I walk the house. Not snooping, I tell myself, just reacquainting. Her closet is full of scrubs and jeans, no tiny dresses, no little shoes. The bathroom cabinet has her prescriptions, a bottle of cheap foundation, a pregnancy test box. Empty. In the hall closet, under a rolled-up rug, I find it. A small purple sock with fading unicorns. My chest tightens. You don't throw away everything. You can't. Not if you loved her. Out front, Mrs. Callahan from next door stands watering her dry grass. She waves, her face crinkling. Noah, honey, they said you'd be back. Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry about, that little angel. Her eyes dart to the house. Haven't seen you in so long. When did it happen? I ask. The accident. Her forehead wrinkles. Happen? Yeah, with Hannah. She blinks. Oh, yes, so tragic. She looks uncertain now. Claire handled everything. We just tried to give her space. I was visiting my sister that month, actually. Heard of it after. What month? She opens her mouth, closes it. Was it May or June? Oh, I'm forgetting everything these days. She laughs thinly. I nod, but my internal clock starts marking the discrepancy. Soldiers live by timelines, sequence, pattern. Inside, I find our old filing box beneath the bed. Claire never was good at shredding anything. Medical bills, electricity. One envelope stands out. Tri-County Funeral Services. My hands go cold. I open it. Invoice canceled, it reads. Balance, $0. Reason, family elected alternative arrangements. Alternative arrangements? I flip through other papers. Insurance payout confirmation for a child fatality claim. But the policy number doesn't match the one I remember filing before deployment. The signatures look like mine, but I don't remember signing them. My name in dark blue ink, a little too smooth. The room tilts. At noon, Claire calls. How's it going? She asks. Found the funeral invoice, I say. It says canceled. Silence. Then, I told you I couldn't handle a big service. We did something small. With who? Family. My family? She exhales. Noah, please, not while I'm at work. We'll talk later. She hangs up. The sound of that click is louder than any mortar round. That afternoon, Mason drops by with a six-pack and his old smirk. "Figured you'd need a normal face," he says, "and not Callahan's." We sit on the porch, beers sweating between us. "How's it feel?" he asks. "Being back." "Like I never left the war," I answer. He whistles. "That bad?" I hesitate, then say, "Something's off about Hannah's death." He sobers. "Say more." "Paperwork's weird. No grave, no pictures. It's like she scrubbed her out." Mason leans forward. "You think she lied?" I say slowly. "If this was Afghanistan, I'd say someone's tampering with the story." "Then treat it like that," he says. "Follow the trail. I'm her husband, not CID. You're also her father." Night falls hot and heavy. Claire comes home smelling faintly of cigarettes and antiseptic. "Why are you going through my stuff?" she snaps, seeing the files on the table. "Why does the invoice say canceled?" I ask. "We scattered her ashes," she says, "by the river." "I told you." "You didn't." "Well, I'm telling you now." "With who?" She stares at me. "Is this what you did over there? Interrogate people?" "When they lied," I say. She slams her purse down. "I lost a child while you played hero on the other side of the world. Don't you dare." Her voice breaks on child. For a moment, I almost fold, but when she storms off to the bedroom, I see her pull her phone out. Not the one on the counter, a second one, black, with a cracked corner. She types fast. "You only need a sliver of doubt to turn love into reconnaissance." I stand in the kitchen, pulse thudding, as realization seeps deeper. If there's one thing Afghanistan taught me, it's that stories don't fall apart all at once. They crack at the edges first. Hairline fractures, wrong date, wrong document, a neighbor who can't recall a funeral. You learn to listen, and tonight, for the first time, I listen to the silence in my own house. It sounds like someone hiding. 3 days. That's how long I pretend things are fine. I mow the patchy lawn, fix the loose kitchen cabinet, take calls from my mother, who cries too hard to ask real questions. "Is Claire doing okay?" she manages once. "She's adjusting," I say. "Visit your girl's spot," Mom adds softly, "when you're ready." I don't tell her there is no spot. On the 4th day, I find the second phone. Claire is in the shower, water pounding the tiles, steam pushing under the door. Her purse lies open on the dresser. The cracked phone peeks out, lit up with a new message. I know better. I look anyway. "He's back yet?" "Yes." "You okay?" "Scared." "He won't find out. We did what we had to do." "We?" The roar in my ears is louder than any Blackhawk. I scroll up. Months of messages, all carefully vague. Meeting at the usual place. Worries about court and papers. Mentions of her in ways that twist my gut. I shove the phone back as the shower cuts off. Claire steps out, wrapped in a towel. Drops of water on her collarbone. Once that sight meant warmth. Now it looks like evidence washing down a drain. She catches my face. "What?" "Nothing." At dinner, I say, "Tell me about the accident." She groans. "Again?" "Yes, again." Her fork scrapes her plate. "I was driving back from the store. It was raining. Guy swerved, hit us." "What store?" She blinks. "What?" "You said store, before you said church." "Does it matter?" She explodes. "She died, Noah." Her fury feels wrong. Too fast, too rehearsed. I slam my hand on the table. Her glass rattles. "I held dying men in my arms over there," I say, voice low. "I wrote letters to their parents. I missed my own kid's funeral. The least I get is the truth about what happened to her." Tears flood her eyes, but they don't fall. She pushes her chair back and walks to the porch. Lights a cigarette with shaking hands. I follow. "Who's the number?" "What?" she says too quickly. "The one you're scared with." She exhales smoke. It curls between us like a new wall. "You went through my phone. You went through our life," I snap. Start with that. She flinches. You weren't here. I was getting shot at, and I was alone, she whispers. You don't know what that does. Then tell me. She stares into the dark yard. Not tonight. She sleeps on the couch. I lie awake, jaw clenched, remembering all the times over there I promised myself that enduring hell had to mean something when I came back, that there would be a soft landing, that the grief I carried was at least honest. In the morning, Mason texts, You good? I answer, Come by. On the porch I lay it out. The canceled invoice, the missing grave, the second phone. Jesus, he mutters. You think Hannah's alive? The words freeze me. I haven't said it out loud yet. I think, I say slowly. I don't know what to think. If she is, he says, we find her. And if she's not, then at least you'll know what you're hating. He offers to help with records, contacts at DPS, a cousin in county admin. Soldiers come home with networks nobody expects. That night, Claire tries something new, tenderness. She sits on the edge of our bed, fingers hover over my arm. Noah, she whispers, I know I've been off. I'm trying. Then tell me the truth, I say. She swallows. I loved her. More than anything. You have to know that. Then why is her room gone? A tremor moves through her. Because I couldn't breathe inside it. Or because she might walk in, I say, the thought venomous and wild. Her eyes flash. You're cruel. I'm desperate. The air thickens. She whispers, If you loved me, you'd let some things stay buried. I stare at her. I've spent 6 years digging bodies out of rubble. I don't know how to stop. She gets up. Then you'll ruin us, she says. All over again. When the door closes, I understand something brutal. Whatever I find, I might lose her. For real this time. Maybe I already have. But there is a line in me that war burned clean. You don't mess with the dead, and you don't lie about the innocent. If she faked our daughter's death, I will find out, even if it ends the last thing I thought I had left. Mason works fast. By the end of the week, he's got a buddy at DPS confirming there's no official fatal accident report matching Hannah Mercer on the date Claire gave me. No autopsy. No EMT call under our address. She could have messed up the date, I say. She could have, he agrees. But I checked the whole month. Nothing. The hospital Claire named? No pediatric admission under Hannah's name. No record of Claire that day either. Just a routine visit weeks later. This is impossible, I mutter. Mason shrugs grimly. Or very possible. I drive to Tri-County Funeral Services. Beige building, lonely parking lot. A plastic angel by the door, turned gray by dust. Inside, a woman with tired hair and kind eyes flips through her computer. Mercer, Hannah, I say. About 3 years back. My wife made arrangements. I'm just trying to get a copy for records. She searches, shakes her head. I've got a canceled file. Infant cremation scheduled, then voided. Notes say, family made private arrangements with another provider. No completion. No provider listed? No, sir. I thank her and walk out with my vision tunneling. In the car, I grip the steering wheel until my knuckles pale. If you've seen forged manifests, fake IDs, doctored reports, you start to recognize the gaps. Deception doesn't always show in what's there. It reveals itself in what's missing. I check Hannah's birth certificate. Real. Check. Social Security. Real. Check. School enrollment? None. Of course not, I remind myself. She died at 3. Unless she didn't. Claire notices my distance but doesn't ask. Maybe she's too tired. Maybe she already knows the answers and is waiting for the blast wave. One afternoon, I follow her. I tell myself I'm a bastard for doing it. Then I remember I've raided homes on less suspicion. She drives south. Long stretch of highway. Radio up. Cigarette burning in the ashtray. She exits near San Marcos, winds through neighborhoods that grow newer, nicer. Finally, she pulls into a small park. Trees, slide, benches. I park far enough not to be seen, but close enough to watch. Claire sits on a bench. She checks her cracked phone. A man appears, mid-30s, clean shirt, confident shoulders. He walks like he belongs in sunlight. He sits beside her. They don't kiss. Their bodies lean toward each other anyway. And then she runs up. Yellow dress, brown hair in 2 ponytails, light-up sneakers. The world narrows to that little face. Her laugh. My lungs forget how to work. She has my mother's eyes, same shade of hazel, same curious tilt at the corners. "Mom!" she shouts, throwing herself into Claire's arms. "Mom." I open the car door. My hand shakes on the handle. Mason's voice echoes in my head. "If she's alive, we find her." I've found her. The man lifts the girl. "Careful, Hannah," he says. "Hannah." I taste iron. Claire hushes him sharply, looks around, suddenly alert, like prey. I duck, heart pounding. When I look again, they're walking to the swings. The little girl, my little girl, is chattering about a drawing. The man listens with a soft smile. Claire pushes her gently. I feel something tear inside me, a soundless rip. I should march over. I should grab my daughter. I should call the police. I should do 100 things. Instead, I sit, useless, watching my child alive in a life that was built on my supposed grief. A dog barks nearby. Hannah claps. Evan, because that has to be him, crouches to pet the dog, her small hand resting trustingly on his shoulder. Not a kidnapping. Not a stranger. A constructed family. My absence turned into vacancy, filled by a lie. When they leave, I follow at a distance. They drive to a modest, blue house. The girl runs to the door, fumbles with keys like it's home. I watch Claire hug the man. Not like a fling, like a partner. I'm shaking so hard I can barely shift gears. Back in our original driveway, I sit in my parked truck until night blankets everything. Inside, Claire enters quietly around 9, her cheeks pink, a faint smell of playground and someone else's cologne. "How was your day?" she asks. "Too bright." "You saw her," I say. My voice isn't mine. She freezes. I stand. "You saw Hannah." Her face drains. "You followed me," she whispers. "You lied to me," I say. There it is, laid bare between us. Her next breath sounds like something shattering. "I can explain," she says. I almost laugh, because how do you explain a fake grave, a fake death, a real child calling another man dad? My heart is a drumline of artillery. My vision whites at the edges. "Then explain," I say. "Start with why my daughter is alive and I buried her alone on a laptop in a war zone." She doesn't speak at first. She sits. Her hands find the edge of the table like she needs to hold on to something anchored. "Say something," I insist. Her voice comes out small. "I thought you'd die over there." Not the opening I expected. "I re-enlisted," I say. "I told you that. You kept extending," she whispers. Another tour, and another. Every time I asked when you'd come home, it was, "They need me." Do you know what it's like to tuck in a 3-year-old alone, telling her daddy's saving the world while she cries for you? Heat flares. "Our daughter is alive, Claire. Focus." She sucks in a breath. I didn't fake her death right away. The room tilts. "I met Evan at the clinic," she says. "He was kind. He listened. You were a bad connection and a voice behind static. He was here." I stare. "You were lonely, so you killed our kid on paper?" "Don't," she pleads. "You were gone so long. I broke. I made mistakes. But Hannah, she was everything. When I found out she might not be..." She stops. "Might not be what?" Her eyes fill. "Might not be yours." Silence drops like a bomb. I go cold. "What?" "The timeline," she chokes. "I was late before you left that last time, but I'd already..." Her voice disintegrates. "I didn't know. I panicked. What if you came back and she wasn't yours and you hated her? Or me? Or her?" I take a step back, hit the counter. "So you wrote us both out." She presses her palms to her eyes. The accident was real. Almost. Car swerved. We spun. She hit her head. She was okay, but for an hour, I thought she was gone. And in that hour, something ugly in me whispered, it would be easier if. She sobs. I hated myself for that thought. I still do. But once it was there, I couldn't escape it. The fear, the relief, the shame. I told Evan. He said we'd figure it out. I picture the man at the swings, calm, steady, the kind of man who steps in, who offers solutions. We didn't fake it overnight, she continues, voice shaking. It took months, papers, contacts. I told your folks the body was in bad condition. I kept it closed casket, so no one would see there was no her. We said we scattered her ashes private. Insurance paid out. That covered debts. Her preschool under a different name. The move later. Jesus Christ, I whisper. I thought you'd be safer believing she was gone than coming home to a family that wasn't yours, she says. I thought you'd let go. Instead, I carried her death through firefights, I say. I saw her face in every dead child. Do you understand what you did? Tears streamed down her face. Every day, every night. Why not tell me when she didn't die? Because you were always almost dead, she cries. Convoys hit. Bases attacked. How do I call and say, surprise, your daughter's alive, but also maybe not yours and I'm with someone else? How do I break your head when it's already in pieces? So you chose for me, I say. I chose wrong, she whispers. I know that. I know. I pace the length of the kitchen like it's a cell. Whose idea was it? Mine, she says. Then, quieter, ours. Evan's in this? He loves her, she says fiercely. He's raised her. He's been there. She thinks of him as, don't, I growl. She bites her lip. She is mine, I say. Even if blood says otherwise, she is mine because I named her, because I counted months on my fingers in a tent, because I died 5 times the day you told me she was gone. Claire sobs into her hands. I will call the cops, I say. Insurance fraud, kidnapping, obstruction. You think I won't? Her head snaps up. Please, she begs. They'll take her. They'll put her in some system. She's happy. She's safe. Don't punish her for my sin. A part of me wants to burn it all down. Set lines of justice and let them march. She lied. She built a life over my grief. But the image of Hannah at the swings intrudes, laughing, whole, not a child in chains, a child in sunshine. My sense of right and wrong, once a neat checklist of ROEs and briefings, blurs dangerously. I won't let this stand, I say, but I'm not your executioner either. What does that mean? It means tomorrow, I say, we all sit down. You, me, Evan. And we decide what happens before the world decides for us. Her shoulders slump. He'll leave, she whispers. If you threaten police, he'll run. Then he's not the man you say he is, I reply. She covers her mouth to stifle another sob. As I stare at the woman I once trusted with everything, I realize the real enemy is not neat. It's not insurgents or corrupt officials. It's fear. It's cowardice. It's the quiet choice to lie instead of face the blast. I've spent years in a war built on half-truths. I didn't expect to come home to another. Tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow we bring this into the light. Tonight, I sleep on the floor, clutching the idea of my living daughter like a weapon I don't yet know how to use. We meet at Evan's house. Neutral ground, Claire said. Familiar ground, I thought bitterly, watching her text him. Mason wanted to come. I told him no. This isn't a raid. This is surgery. Evan opens the door. Up close, he looks like the kind of man people trust. Open face, teacher energy, a little scared now. Noah, he says quietly. Come in. Where is she? I ask. With my sister, Claire answers. For now. Good. I don't want Hannah in the blast radius. We sit at a cheap dining table, A bowl of fruit in the middle. Domestic bullshit. Evan folds his hands. Claire grips a coffee mug she doesn't drink from. "I'm sorry," Evan says first, "for my part in this." "Which part is that?" I ask. He swallows. "Loving your daughter. Loving Claire. Not stopping this when it went too far." "You could have called me," I say. "I thought about it," he admits. "I told her more than once it was wrong. But I saw how she shook when your name came up. How she woke from dreams convinced you'd come back broken, or not at all. I thought I could give them something steady." "You thought wrong," I say. He nods. "I know." I lay out what I know. No accident report, no hospital record, the canceled funeral, insurance fraud, the faked death notification, the emotional war crime. Claire cries silently. Evan stares at the table. "I should turn you both in," I say. "Yes," Evan says. Claire flinches at his agreement. "It would be fair. She's my daughter," I repeat, "no matter whose DNA built her." "She is," Evan says. "She deserves to know that." Claire gasps. "Evan, she deserves truth," he says firm. "We've lied enough." She shakes her head, desperate. "You'll rip her world apart." "You ripped his," Evan says, not unkindly. Tension climbs like a siren. I put my head in my hands. "I see her," I say, "in my dreams, dead, broken. Because that's what you painted for me. And then I see her at that damn swing, laughing. Do you understand what that does in my skull?" Claire reaches out, stops halfway. "I was drowning," she whispers. "You were gone. My guilt was monstrous. I thought if I cut you loose, you could live. That's what I told myself, that I was protecting you." "Stop dressing it up," I snap. "You were protecting yourself." "Yes," she says. "Yes." Evan speaks carefully. "What do you want, Noah?" The question is too big. Custody? Charges? Revenge? A rewrite of the last 3 years? "I want time with my daughter," I say. "I want her to know I'm alive. I want to stop dreaming about a grave that doesn't exist." "And the law?" Evan asks. "I could destroy you with it," I say. "Both of you. I could have you arrested before sundown. I don't know yet if not doing that makes me weak or something else." "Merciful," he suggests. "Don't use that word on me," I snarl. "You don't know the people I've killed trying to be merciful." Silence. "We tell her together," Evan says. "Age appropriate, honest. We fix what we can without breaking more. I'll sign whatever's needed to give you rights. This lie can't stay." Claire's eyes widen. "You'd let him?" "She's his too," Evan says. "In ways we stole. I won't keep stealing." His willingness disarms me more than anger would. "You're willing to lose her?" I ask. He shakes his head. "I'm willing to share her, if that's what's best. I love her. That means I don't get to hoard her." Claire looks between us like the ground is splitting. "What about jail?" she whispers. "I haven't decided," I say. "Insurance, fraud, all of it. You deserve consequences. But if you go down, she goes into interviews, courtrooms, headlines. That's another kind of harm." "I'll take it," she says, "if that's what you choose." It's the first honest thing I've heard her say. I stand. My legs feel like they belong to someone else. "I need air," I mutter. Outside, Texas sun hits me full force. I lean against the wall, breathe. In Afghanistan, choices came fast. Shoot or don't. Enter or hold. Here, it's slower, stickier. Every path sinks into someone innocent. Mason calls. "You good?" "No," I say. "Want me to come?" "No," I repeat. "This one's mine." I hang up. When I go back inside, Claire looks like she's aged a decade. Evan's jaw is tight. "I won't call the cops today," I say. She exhales a sob. "But we do this on my terms now," I continue. "We tell her. We get legal help. We correct the record. I enter her life. You don't get to shut me out anymore. Okay, Evan says. Claire nods numbly. If either of you tries to run, I add, or twist this again, I'll end it. You know I can. They know. It's not justice, not really. It's something between justice and mercy, messy and human and unsatisfying. War taught me that sometimes the least bad option is the only one left. Tomorrow, I say, I meet her. Claire's voice shakes. As her father? I think of her small hand in Evan's, of the fragile world they built, wrong but real. As Noah, I say, for now. The words taste like sacrifice. But under all the rage there is one stubborn truth. I cannot make my daughter's first memory of me an explosion. Lawyers get involved. Paper, signatures, corrective filings. It turns out there is no easy checkbox for faked child death to avoid emotional conflict. There are, however, forms for amended death records, insurance repayments, and custodial acknowledgments. We sit in small rooms that smell like toner. People in suits stare at us with poorly concealed judgment. You understand the potential criminal exposure, one attorney tells Claire. Yes, she says. We can negotiate restitution, another says. Keep this as quiet as possible for the child's sake. But if it escalates, it won't, I say, surprising myself. Outside, Claire corners me. Why are you protecting me? I'm not, I say. I'm protecting her. She'll hate me if she finds out. She might, I say. You earned that risk. Tears threaten. She swallows them. Do you hate me? I think of desert nights clutching a photo of them both, of the way she said, I thought it'd be easier if she were gone, and how that thought metastasized into their crime. I don't know what I feel, I answer, but it's not the love I left with. She nods like she expected that. Maybe she did. Evan approaches me one afternoon as we leave the lawyer's office. You're giving us a chance we don't deserve, he says. I'm giving her a chance, I correct. He nods. I can step back if that's what's best. You're the only father she remembers, I say. The words feel like gravel. Ripping you away overnight would be another lie, another trauma. What do you want from me? Honesty. From now on. With me, with her. He holds out a hand. You have it. I don't shake it. Not yet. But I don't walk away either. The night before I meet her, I sit on my old porch with Mason. You sure about this? He asks. No, I say, but I'm done letting them decide for me. If you press charges, you'd be in the right. Maybe, I say, but right and good aren't always the same. He studies me. You sound like a man who's seen too much war. I sound like a man who's tired of orphans, I reply. The next day we're at a child therapist's office. Neutral territory, pastel walls, soft furniture, a shelf of plastic animals. Hannah walks in holding Claire's hand, Evan close behind. She wears a blue dress this time. Her eyes scan the room and land on me. This is Mommy's friend Noah, Claire says, voice brittle. He knew you when you were very little. Hannah considers me. Did I? Yes, I say, my voice barely steady. I used to draw suns on the porch with you. Her eyes light up. With chalk? Pink and yellow, I say. She smiles, small and startling. I remember a little. The therapist guides us through a careful script. Grown-ups talk about how families can be made of many people who love you, about how sometimes grown-ups make mistakes with the truth and work hard to fix them. We'll go slow, she assures me. Her sense of safety comes first. Safety first. Always. Hannah shows me her drawings. A house, a tall man, a woman, a little girl, a dog. Who's this? I ask, pointing at the tall man. Daddy, she says. She means Evan. And this? I point to the woman. Mommy. And this one? Me. I tap the empty space next to them. Think there's room for one more person? She shrugs. Maybe. I draw a small figure. No label. Just there. She studies it. He can be Noah, she decides. My throat closes. I'd like that. Outside, Claire waits. Evan stands with his hands jammed into his pockets. How'd it go? Claire asks. Slow, I say. Right. We'll keep coming, the therapist says. We'll build trust. Then, when it's time, we'll help her understand who Noah is to her. On the way home, Mason texts, You choose vengeance or something stupider? I answer, something stupider. He replies, Proud of you, idiot. That night, I stare at the ceiling in my own too quiet house. I could still call the cops, still blow this open. Instead, I imagine a future where a little girl says, Dad, and means both of us, without flinching. It's a complicated hope, maybe impossible, but I've believed in worse odds on worse nights. The verdict of my heart is simple and punishing. I will live with the wound if it means she doesn't have to. Weeks pass. Sessions continue. Hannah grows used to me. At first, I'm Noah who draws, then Noah who tells silly army stories without the bad parts. I talk about sandstorms and camels and how I once lost a boot in the mud. She laughs easily. Did you shoot bad guys? She asks once. I pause. I tried to protect people, I say. Sometimes I did, sometimes I couldn't. That's sad, she decides. Yeah, I say. Claire watches from a careful distance. Evan sits in too, at the therapist's suggestion. We are an odd constellation. A man who lied, a woman who ran, another man who bled on foreign soil for a family that didn't exist the way he thought, and a child who holds all our futures in her small, unknowing hands. One day, Hannah climbs into my lap with a book. No prompting. You read, she says. Okay, I whisper. Her weight is light but anchors me. I read. Her hair brushes my chin. I swallow around the ache. Later, in the parking lot, the therapist says, She's attaching. When the time comes to tell her more, that bond will matter. When is the time? I ask. When she has enough safety to survive the truth, she answers. And when the adults in her life can tell it without tearing each other apart. That might take longer, but we're trying. At home, Claire offers me coffee. It's a fragile peace offering. I paid the first restitution installment, she says. Sold my car. Good, I say. I'll keep paying, she adds. Whatever it takes. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not there, I admit. She nods. I know. Evan stops by my place one evening, alone. I wanted to thank you, he says. For what? For not breaking her world. I shrug. Still might. You won't, he says. It's not who you are. You don't know me, I say. I know enough, he answers. I've seen cowards. You're not one. He leaves a folder on my table. Shared custody draft, he says. My lawyer drew it up. It acknowledges you, formally. I flip through it after he's gone. My name sits there beside Hannah's. Legal, real. It feels like someone stitching a wound with their bare hands. Slow, painful, necessary. At the next session, Hannah hands me a drawing. This is you, she says. The page shows 3 tall figures and 1 small. She's labeled them. Mom, Dad, Noah, me. Dad is between Mom and me. Noah stands a little to the side, but there. Why am I here? I ask lightly, pointing to my spot. So you can see us, she says, like it's obvious. So you don't be lonely. It's a child's kindness. It lands like absolution I haven't earned. I tuck the drawing into my jacket. As we walk out, she slips her hand into mine for 2 steps before letting go. No one tells her to, No one forces it, just 2 small, warm seconds. I go home and sit on the porch in the evening heat. The house is still too quiet. But now there's a picture on my fridge, and my daughter is not in the ground. I think about the day we'll tell her the full story. We'll explain how love and fear twisted into a lie, how her life began in one home, was hidden in another, and how a broken man chose to stand close instead of blow it apart. She will be hurt, confused, maybe angry, but she'll know this: I came back for her, even when I thought she was dead, even when truth gutted me. The sun sinks behind the houses. Cicadas start their rough song. Sometimes rebirth comes dressed as something small, a signature, a shared schedule, a child's hand finding yours in a hallway that smells like crayons. I lower my head and let the quiet come. This time, it doesn't feel like an ambush. It feels like the first hello after a very long goodbye. I used to think redemption was a cinematic thing. Trumpets, flags, courtroom speeches. War stripped that notion fast. So did coming home. Real redemption is softer. It lives in unremarkable Tuesdays, in showing up, in telling the truth after years of running from it, in choosing, again and again, not to pick the weapon you're legally and morally entitled to wield. Claire keeps paying, working double shifts. She sits with a counselor now, talks about guilt like it's a foreign language she's finally learning to translate. I watch her with Hannah sometimes, gentle, present, terrified of the day our daughter asks for the whole story. She will answer, I'll make sure of it. Evan signs every paper he needs to. Some nights he and I sit on opposite sides of a playground and talk about homework and cartoons instead of the woman we both loved badly. It's complicated. It's human. We're learning. Hannah grows. She calls me Noah. Then sometimes, no, Dad, and blushes. I never rush her. Names are heavy things. She'll find the right ones in her own time. When the past claws up my throat, sand, blood, a fake funeral, I look at her drawings on my fridge. 4 figures now, closer together. We didn't fix what we broke, not entirely. Some fractures will always show in the right light. But we chose, in the wreckage, to build something honest, to give a child more love instead of more ruin. That is my penance. That is my peace. And on the quiet nights, when the ghosts line up at the edge of my bed, I finally have an answer for them. I came home. I found her. I did not pull the trigger this time.